Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 4. That's interesting. I'm just right away.
You expect it?
Double assassin.
To be fair, most people EU have spoken. Most of EU have been, I was talking to them in the break, and they're like, "We're really surprised. We didn't expect this."
Yeah.
But that game, then, if you looked at picks and bans, they knew they were giving up Zeus. They baited the Zeus pick.
Oh yeah.
They wanted the Bacchus, and they banned out Raffer's God Pool. Big keys in that last game was the picks and ban strategy.
Paradigm played chess in picks and bans.
And Paradigm are doing the right things in picks and bans. They're correcting mistakes that they've had previously. What I want to see this time round, though, from Epsilon, priority pick for Raffer.
Okay.
I think that's really important because Raffer's God Pool this split has been pretty limited. Not necessarily, I don't know if it's because he's not got a God Pool in the support role as much, and he thinks he could just go to 2 or 3, but it's hurting him because of it. They banned Sylvanas, they banned Geb, he had to go Ares. He went Ares, and it didn't work out.
Sure. I don't know. What's your take on it, Emilzy? I don't think Ares was the reason they lost.
They've got to ban Hell. They have to ban Hell.
Yeah, they have to ban Hell. The reason why they kind of lost was because they got so much counter pick into the Zeus.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily Ares, but they kind of shut down Raffer's comfortable picks, and they got so much counter picks, and they got their own 2 priority picks. They got the Sol, they got the Neith. They just completely baited Epsilon into first picking Zeus.
Look at the conversation. Paradigm took a long time there.
Wow.
They
Get
left
banned
Hell
out.
up. They left
Wow.
Hell up.
Yeah. Hell. Zeus
What?
is the first pick for Epsilon.
So Hell, right?
Hell Neith.
Hell
Probably.
Neith?
Yeah. Hell.
Happy days?
How
Why
about
the
that?
Neith? Why the Neith? For the mid lane?
Yeah. He feels really comfortable with it, definitely.
Or you could go Hell Giannis, you could go Hell anything here, right? You don't
I think you
have
go
to
Hell Bastet.
Hell Bastet. Yeah, that's actually a really smart call, because they can counter. Yeah.
Hell Bastet, Bastet good
Yeah.
against the Zeus as well. There's the Hell, not a shock. Xaliea will play that one. Pretty sure Lawbster
You
will do it
called
too.
it.
F-Dog got 2 in a whole tournament right in a row.
I know,
I'm so
right?
proud of you, buddy.
Every once in a while, I take the spotlight from my analysts and
You
let
also
people
did
know
the
I
Athena
actually know the
Eris
game and I don't
against
just
us?
ask questions. Hell Bastet, it's going to be a good well, not necessarily a good combination. It's just the fact that Hell is Hell. It's now you have a timer on the game, right?
Yeah.
Hell is tough to deal with, and Bastet's going to deal well with the Zeus, and he's going to deal well, and she's going to deal well with some of the other picks that Epsilon can bring to
Key
the table.
point is Circuit is open, and adapting plays a very, very scary Circuit.
That's a very good point. Circuit is available. Neith locked in, though,
Love
for
it.
them, for Epsilon. They're looking for the old school, what they did throughout the season comp here. Ymir is here. This is one of the other gods Raffer has gone to. Sylvanas was one, but he didn't have a great game on it, so he's gone for the Ymir. They're going for hyper-aggression here. Ymir has fallen out of favor with a lot of people just lately.
This is really, really smart. If they would have picked Circuit here, you would have seen Paradigm go into Ares,
Yep.
and they would have banned Ymir. Now, Paradigm are kind of forced to ban Circuit, which is whatever. Adapting has such a big guard pool.
Exactly.
So it's actually a really, really smart pick, picking Ymir so they can't pick Ares to count out.
So are we going to see Osiris in the solo lane here to try and deal with Hell, I guess, for the anti-heal or not?
Yeah, if they ban Circuit, I would only see Osiris.
You guys see
Odin.
Osiris or Odin? I mean, we've seen Dimi run Odin.
Yeah, true.
And we've also seen Raffer run the Odin as well, and Odin could come into play in this one. It's not a pick we'll see very, very often, but in a match where Hell gets through and you worry about the clock on the game, well, at least you can make it 0% healing from one of those 2 gods.
Odin's always interesting. I'm not sure if we'll see it, but it's definitely a possibility.
They
I like
really
the
like
Anher
banning
ban
Anher.
there. I really like the Anher ban because, honestly, Funballer has a fantastic Anher, but they
With
leave
the
Freya up.
Bacchus. Yeah, but Anher really just fits better with Bacchus. If you get the belly
Yeah.
flop into Pillar
Yep,
Stun,
full combo.
Ult, and Hold, Neith is just dead. Same goes for Ymir. They can deal way easier with Freya because they have Ymir to wall off the Freya, force off the ult. That's kind of the big point, that they want to fight in the jungle,
Yep.
they want to wall off Hell, they want to kill her.
Well, let's see where they're going to go with this one. They're taking the time about it. It's going to be Xbalanque for Funballer. Xbalanque, one of the rising stars of the tournament as time's gone on.
Rising stars with the rising Jaguars. I like it. You know, it only rhymes when I say it, Hindu.
Fenrir.
Ooh.
That's to keep up with Xbalanque
And that's just an adapting god.
and just
I
counter
mean,
the Hell.
Fenrir versus Hell in lane as well, right?
Yeah, they're just gonna
Does he
invade
Dimi do
this
it?
Hell. This is what it's all about.
Is there any chance we see the Ymir solo Fenrir support?
That's what I was going to say. Dimi, Fenrir.
Could be.
Oh,
But
Ymir solo.
Yes.
I don't think
Oh, I
adapting
know
is
that
gonna
one.
play Ymir at yeah, Hevo solo. So they're just this
All
is
right.
just invading this hill. They just want to invade her. They don't want her to get any buff.
So earlier on, we said, all right, Epsilon playing very standard stuff, no
mix it up
surprises.
now, yep.
This time,
Hebo.
this is game match. If Paradigm win this game, Epsilon, they're sitting at number 2. They're still going to World.
Xaliea doesn't look happy about that.
Nope.
Xaliea does not look happy about that. I tell you, like, oh god.
They can still put helmet though. That's the key
That is
point
true.
here, and then they can't get invaded. The really smart thing here is they counter pick Hebo's
Xalia's
biggest
mad.
counter. They get Fenrir away, so they can't pick Fenrir into Hebo. They could have possibly run Fenrir solo
So
against
this is
Hebo.
all about the doggy bringing somebody back to the water bowl, basically,
Yeah,
to have a fun
and
time.
Chaac.
There we go. You called it. Hell's going to be in the mid lane now.
That's really smart because now they can invade the hill with the Fenrir Hebo.
And Chaac for you, F. Happy days.
It's possible that we see the Chaac mid.
Don't say that. I knew. That's why I saw you get excited. I was like, no, he's Chaac solo. Don't be silly.
No, realistically, it will be the Chaac solo because the Hell, as we have said, Hell's going to be put mid just to make her a little bit more. It's funny. The character's going to be moved mid to make it more safe. Usually, middle lane is a little bit more dangerous.
Well, he spoke about the invades more than anything else. And the adapting will camp there for days. He can still camp the mid lane though, adapting. And the question is how good is Lawbster's Hell?
Well, see, that's the thing. It's probably a little bit easier to camp the mid lane than it is the solo lane because of the just high traffic. But it's about getting the start. If you strip the blue buffs away from the Hell right from the beginning, Hell it takes a lot to get off the ground. Putting her in the mid, giving the red buff, all of a sudden now you've got the ball rolling and you can ease your way a little bit more.
Yeah, if a Hell is 1 and 4 at 30 minutes, the Hell is gonna carry the game.
Yep.
You need Hell to be 0, 6, 7 at 20 minutes. That's how you beat a Hell. If not, you need perfect execution in
067.
0, 6, 7.
067. What? So
6,
you're
6, 7.
okay with her getting 7 assists? That's the question. Because you're like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but then the team just has to be so far happy. Yeah. Lawbster goes purple pot.
Yep. So
Xaliea goes red pot. Qvofred goes red pot. The big point of keeping Lawbster alive is not peeling for him. The point of keeping Lawbster alive is forcing.
There's one other thing, right? Dimi's now Hebo solo.
Yeah.
Do you invade now as Paradigm because you're running the comp?
You could, yeah. This is actually, yeah, that's really smart. You could definitely invade.
You invade the Hebo and you give it back what they were going to
yeah.
do themselves.
So smart.
And I think that's what they may look to. Thank you, I am smart. And then they've got the double power pot as well. It could be really effective for them for the extra damage that they're going to get off. I
Yeah.
expect to see Paradigm maybe look for this.
They can definitely just push them off.
Do they
Fenrir
need
doesn't
to,
do
though?
too much.
Do they need to? They don't have to, I guess.
No, they don't have to. I think maybe they just play standard. They're 1 game up. They don't want to risk too much. It looks like they're not going to invade.
Now, it is a Hell mid. However, the Hebo is going to make an influence on the Hell because the burst damage that can come out with the Tidal Wave, the Crushing Wave, is so strong here that it could delete him in one go.
What I
They
want,
can get going.
yeah. What I want to see is just beat Aegis out of the hill as soon as possible.
So no Heavenly?
You're gonna have space to get heavily on Fred, Xaliea, even Trixtank's gonna get it. Funballer maybe also is gonna get it. The key point for Hell is she needs to be able to Aegis the Hebo damage, and she needs to be able to beat Fenrir and Ymir.
Well, no invade coming out here. Paradigm going to start safely. They're not going to try and invade the Hebo early on. They think with the matchup they have and the positions they've got, they're happy with this one.
Yeah.
Adapting on the Fenrir. This is, I mean, we discussed a little bit about the picks that he's had throughout the course of the season. Fenrir, I mean, it's not something that comes to mind when I think adapting, really.
But he has played it. He's played it in the Pro League quite a few times, actually. He's been one of his backup ones to go to for the most part. Played it against LC, played it against Paradigm as well, so he's had success on that one at the beginning of the split as well. It's been a good success throughout the whole season, obviously, because it's been the season. But
right away, this is the type of duo lane that Epsilon wants to play, and they're going to start the game before the first minute with a kill. And that's
key. That's key.
Exactly.
Well, the reason it's key is because Paradigm has won this duo lane most of the time.
Yeah.
Double kills going over to Funballer pretty much realistically every time. They got push power early on. Ymir, very strong in the jungle at clearing it out quickly. And aggression from Epsilon again. They're going to go crazy everywhere this game. I expect hyper aggression all game long.
I mean, with a Fenrir, Ymir, and a Habwa, yes, I do expect hyper aggression. I don't think there's another way to really play this composition.
This is not going to be the classic Epsilon 12 minutes. This is going to be Epsilon 0 minutes. They're just going to pressure. Probably Paradigm should have known that the invade would have come out here because it has been done before in the tournament. You go red, invade purple. Xbalanque doesn't do anything at level 1, where Ymir and Neith, especially Neith with Bluestone, you don't have a dual lane that's gonna beat that.
And
maybe
the scary thing is they got the pick over in that dual lane, and he didn't even use Blink.
Nope.
Raffer had it, but didn't use it.
Now they
just
can just
walked
zone. They can just zone.
And he's still got the blink available to him if he wants to go
Yeah.
aggressive with it and find an additional pick. The route will be so big.
But we see Trixtank has speed, so it's not going to be too big. So what I want him, iRaffer, I want him to look to freeze. Then as the freeze is going to go off and Neith is going to root, he needs to get a perfect wall.
So the Rising Jaguar hits the
Yeah.
wall and he can't get through
And
it.
it can't get through. And it has to be kind of in a corner, because if it isn't in like
He'll push
close
around
to a
it.
wall, he'll just jump around the wall.
Yeah. Kind of like an agony dash into a wall.
Yeah.
It'll kite you, pass you through it, basically, to an extent.
Mid lane, we see Qvo coming around from the backside. Could
That's good
put
pressure.
Yammyn in a little
That's a
bit
lot
of
of
trouble.
pressure.
It's up
That's
to
a
the
lot of
dog to really
pressure.
make things happen. Stun gonna miss, but the dot not strong enough. And Yammyn able to stay alive.
Lobster just not able to get involved in that. If Lobster could have got any potential poke off there, we would have seen Yammyn fall down in the mid lane. But that was all Qvo's work. His good rotation, his good pressure on that mid laner. He's already got to go back to base at level 4. He wouldn't have wanted to there, but he really has to.
Force out there, and we see a sprint being picked up by the Zeus as well. So right away, it's only level 1 at the moment, but that level 2 is going to be rushed very quickly to get rid of the slow out of Bastet specifically.
Potentially a Heavenly Agility will come out from this. I mean, I don't think we'll see him. He'll go sprint 2 and just probably hold it for a while.
Yep.
And then Heavenly later on in the game as well, just to provide that extra utility for his team.
Exactly. There's a lot of slows, whether it's from Funballer, Qvo, or Xaliea, and Zeus has to be very, very mindful of those. Most of them coming from Qvo, as we said, as Zeus is going to be paid attention to in that
emilitoo
mid
just
lane.
walks straight up there in half health. Well, below half health there onto Funballer. I don't think Funballer expected that sort of aggression out of him. I actually believe if Rafa would have realized that then, if the blink came out too, they would have found a pick for relatively free.
But with
They
the
also
pressure
can
that they
default.
put into the lane,
They can now
Epsilon
attack.
can do this.
You can see in the left-hand side as well, Epsilon taking the left-hand harpies down, waiting for them to spawn, so they're in the right opportunity. If they got aggressed on, for the teams to turn up.
So Xbalanque and Bacchus, 0 wave clear, right?
Yeah.
How do you fight against this? Because obviously you're not going to out-clear this composition. You've got arguably the top wave clear, minus Soul, and some of the worst wave clear. What do you do in this lane, this paradigm?
You're just letting the whole wave get into tower. If you get lucky, you can try and get the archers. That's what you want. You don't want to get killed. You don't want to do anything like that. You're just gonna go for the safe play, get 3 worths of gold, and that's what you're looking for. Later on, they have the way stronger comp. Bacchus is better than Ymir late game.
Right.
Xbalanque is way better than Neith late game. So they just need to wait. But Epsilon just did really well. They capitalized on the early game.
The good news for Paradigm, though, is it's Lobster in mid. Another reason I'm saying that is because he can spot out somebody trying to gank him a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of wall coverage going down around the mid lane. You're going to have Rafa camping it alongside Adapting, looking for the picks on this hell all game long. And Lobster, he spots it out most of the time. You'll see his positioning. He'll sit further back. Ward coverage, ward defensive coverage is going to have to be important here for the teams. I like the fact that even though they lose speed, they invade the red to counteract the balance.
Epsilon knew about it too. You saw the blue pings coming out on top of the cat. Paradigm, on the other hand, that was interesting. Paradigm was pinging the mid lane. Hey, everybody's in the mid. Just go for the speed. You saw Qvofred come down, and Epsilon knew about, or the red buff rather. Epsilon knew about the red buff invade, and they just opted not to mess with it.
Pretty wise decision as well. Just like give it up. We got the speed. Speed's more important for Bastet right now than the red buff is for the Zeus. Zeus is just looking to farm up for the time being. We don't need to fight with the Zeus just yet. We can wait a little bit longer. And to be honest, if Adapting brings, or it brings hell over with the ultimate, then it should be free. But already 3 beads online for Paradigm.
Want to have those beads nice and early, just in case Epsilon comes over. Adapting is going to be a really big threat. And anytime there's a Ymir in the game, that spear and arrow a little bit off. Anytime there's a Ymir in the game, beads are very, very useful.
This is a bit of a problem as well, though, for Paradigm here. Epsilon's dual lane. emilitoo's having a very good time in this dual lane. He's putting the pressure on Funballer so much that Bacchus has to keep coming over to help out so he can get the farm on. And by doing that, it's pinning Paradigm into a situation where they don't really want to be. It allows Rafa to do these rotations now, potentially, if he wants to the mid lane. And meanwhile, the support can't be there to help out.
Look at the result of this dual lane real quick. We discussed, oh, look at this 100, 200 gold up. Look at the 300.
And that's the
They're
whole
looking
gold
for Qvo.
difference.
They're looking for Qvo. They're going all in on Qvo. Qvo beats down. But there's Rafa over the blink. The freeze is good. And a kill. Once again for Epsilon. And they're going for gold.
That is a iRaffer play. I don't think a lot of supports would have pulled that one off. That's the type of aggression that we're used to seeing out of iRaffer.
They went for
Xaliea
the
good
gold for a
rotation.
second, but the response was there in time.
Xaliea had a really good rotation. I want just make sure you cannot do gold. We have a hell. We're gonna get it up. That was
Xaliea
really good.
going to lose a couple of creeps to the tower. Look where Dimi's position there on the way back to the solo lane. He's
Ooh.
trying to catch Chaac on the rotation back so that he can't get back to misses the whole wave. He's punishing him for the rotation, but he needed to make it so the goal didn't get threatened.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was touching on before, the difference in gold between the two hunters, that's the difference in gold between the two teams.
Yeah.
There's almost 1,000 gold in the lead for emilitoo.
Well, that's the first blood as well, just to begin with.
Yep.
The first blood was big, and then on top of that, they've dominated the lane since.
Oh, yeah.
They're feeling strong, Epsilon, right now, and they should do. They're trying to use their early mid-game composition they put together here, and then if they get to the late stages, it'll be Zeus Hebo to take over.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Mage Rage, you just come out through and burst people down with a Hopwa and a Zeus. There's really nothing you could do with it. If you get a water spout in the middle of that Zeus ultimate,
Qvo.
whoever it is dead. They can't Aegis.
Nice little bit of poke onto Dimi there, but Dimi well aware of it, way under the tower, and obviously still has the crushing wave available, so if he does get all in, he can escape with that one, which a lot of people do, and it's pretty good against the cats as well, because you can ult them and do it, but because Qvo showed himself that side, guess what Epsilon's up to?
Starting the Gold Fury, which is already, well, released. Already leashed out. Didn't want to take the chance right there. Epsilon's still very close to Paradigm, so nothing too crazy about it.
Key point here for Paradigm to win this game is that they need to keep his health safe. I talked to Trixtank when they played Fnatic. They also had hell, but they had hell with Jeb, they had hell with 4.
Right.
Hell is not gonna die. Jeb is gonna peel, 4's gonna wall the front line that's gonna try and go to hell off.
Xaliea in a bit of trouble here, Will Weaver coming in as well, but luckily Trix is over there with the Darkest as Night is off. They're still looking for the pick on Xaliea there, but Dimi changes his mind about chasing any deeper than that. Worried about the rotations.
Maybe Dimi could have folded there, try and pick up the kill, but it's Xaliea, he's healing. He would have died first, so pretty smart choice to just stay even.
Left hand side, there's a bit of a hunter fight going on once again. You can see emilitoo trying to punish him for using the Darkest of Nights there over in that lane. Will Weaver was also used. Both the hunters have these globals that are influencing the fight, even though they're not there.
And I want to say that I think Xbalanque ult is gonna get stronger as the game progresses. The longer they get into this game, the better Funballer's ult is gonna be. The better Funball's kit is gonna be. The better Funball's attack is gonna be. So even though it looks like Epsilon has they have the they have the Hebo, they have the
Right.
Zeus, they also, you have to look at it that says the Paradigm, they have Zebra and they have Hell.
Well, here's the question that I want to ask you. Cats are out, should be fine. Here's the question I want to ask you. It's very obvious to a lot of fans and a lot of the viewers at home that Xbalanque is the better late game hunter with respect to his kit.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the ultimate. Talk to me why the ultimate gets better as the game goes on.
Okay, so in a team fight, when you're wanting to fight, you initiate. Epsilon is probably going to be the initiators this game. They're going to initiate. They need to call targets. They have no idea where Paradigm's backline is going to be. They're maybe the only guy that's going to have an idea is iRaffer adapting.
Right.
And they need to call all that out. You're so disoriented for, I believe is it 4 or 5 seconds? Yeah. And yeah, also the fact that they have a Bacchus with it. If Bacchus gets an intoxicate
Of
off,
course, right.
and you have the ship they're just stunned for like, I believe 1 second or something. That's quite a bit, because that's still death.
So outside of the stun combo, essentially, that Epsilon's game plan is going to be more and more nuanced as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So having that period of uncertainty will really hurt Epsilon as things start to become balanced on a razor, essentially. Epsilon is going to have to use a lot of their burst to burst down the hell before she can get rid of her heals. And if Paradigm is disrupting the fight with Funball's ultimate, it's going to cost a couple more brain cycles to figure everything out.
And quick rotation coming out from Paradigm there to defend that purple
Big one.
buff. They gripped the left-hand side, but the core was very good from Epsilon. Adapting so aware of it, he didn't want to take those extra 2 auto attacks required to bring down the buff. I did like what we saw of Qvofred though at the red buff. He's got that on a timer now, and I think that's really important for Paradigm, because if Qvo's round there and they catch Zeus on the rotation over to go and start his red buff, they can get a free pick off that one, or at least force the ultimate, which could turn it into a potential Gold Fury situation for Paradigm.
Qvo is definitely a character that can take out Zeus by himself. Fight started by Epsilon. Stun is good from adapting. The long range stun on the Qvofred's going to be out of there. Dimi's made the rotation, and nothing really comes of it, so Epsilon will create the space and look towards the objective, but they need some more space. They haven't created enough, so do you expect Epsilon to fight Paradigm here?
I think they'll back up now. Well, we've went
They
down.
shouldn't have. What Paradigm should have. You saw the 2 junglers back at the same time. Qvofred should have stayed. Let Hell heal him twice. Should have baited Gold Fury, because adapting wouldn't have made it there. You just want to get the better poke, and that's kind of what Paradigm's combo is. Let's poke you out before the fight, and we can take poke in return, but we're gonna have the healer.
Well, clearly Epsilon trying to bait Paradigm in for a fight here. Let's listen to the Epsilon comms here as they try and take this one down.
Bacchus
He
with
jumped
the
away.
box.
He jumped away.
You're getting poked, you're getting poked.
I wanna jump in
Fenrir.
here. I'm taking too much poke. I'm taking too much
Back
poke.
then, back then.
Back then, back then, back then.
This isn't going well. It's a good bats farm in.
Should be able
Lawbster
to
mid
push
left.
it though.
Yeah.
Watch out mid.
He's here.
Looking for him.
That's
Damn.
unfortunate.
Let me stack. Whatever.
Big fat wave.
Yo,
right
they're
lane.
all back.
How many of them back?
Just back.
I'm gonna burst it with Zeus.
So that situation there, you could see that they would look for it, but Rafa clear on comms. He's the leader from the forefront, and they all listen immediately. All right, back, it wasn't working out. We took too much poke for free. And that's one issue they've got to be careful about. You were mentioning it, Millsy, the poke damage. Paradigm are going to heal it all back up again. They may get a little bit of aggression off onto them, but when Lawbster comes in, the heals are there. And then it just becomes a trade-off that they're going to lose just, you know, over the course of the time.
It's so relevant for the team fights right now that Epsilon keeps track of health pools. Even if Paradigm has the slightest advantage, only like 300-400 HP, it's gonna be
They're
really
looking
big.
big for Funballer there, and they're going to get him. The beads were used, the Rising Jaguar already used, and a great pick once again by Epsilon. Adapting and emilitoo combined so well. You heard a little bit of the comms there after, and he showed just on that play.
Yeah, just the 1-2 punch. Epsilon from the long range Neith ult goes ahead, sets up the stun for a second stun out of the wolf, and then Fenrir comes up with the jaws. Basic attack out of emilitoo. Fantastic combination.
It's a nice pick, but the thing is they couldn't get anything else off it.
They couldn't, but adapting was so low. This is why Epsilon is outclassing a lot of teams. They know how many tower shots, how much damage do I take before I die. And if adapting would have taken one more tower shot, he would have died. That would have been a way worse trade. You have given a Xbalanque a kill on a really high level Fenrir at that point.
The red buff actually going to go over to Epsilon. Because of that kill there, Paradigm couldn't keep the pressure on that side of the map. So Zeus is actually going to get his own red buff this time round. And in response, I think we may see a speed for Paradigm finally after we saw Adapting over there a couple of times.
And this is a really good response by iRaffer. He's just going, second
Pestilence.
item, Pestilence. I don't care about the auras. I'm just going to try and stop this whole healing by 30%.
And he's also going for the Weakening Curse as well. So he's going to be the raid boss in the front that's like, hi hell, I'm in your face. I'm going to slow you down as much as I can before you can get, force you to actually use your cleanse early because I'm going to CC
And
you
hell
up.
is she's going to have 5% healing now with the recent nerf to Weakening. But there's a buff to Pestilence.
Oh, going aggressive once again onto Funballer. You can see once again Funballer in trouble. Brought back into a fight and Adapting should find the kill there. Meanwhile on the backside, Yammyn gets a big fight. Another kill, and look at that. Trixtank's going to fall in the jungle.
Dimi picks one up. And now Xaliea and Qvofred. Xaliea stuck out thanks to a beautiful wall out of iRaffer. Qvo's going to jump on in, trying to provide some damage. Xaliea being chased underneath the tower. Qvo tried, but emilitoo gave it out.
Dimi was the big key in that factor then. You saw the jump in from Qvo for support for Xaliea. Dimi instantly knocks him up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
The burst is on. Qvo falls. Xaliea gets out, but the Gold Fury falls as well.
Absolutely love the patience that Epsilon showed. For the past, 15 on the clock right now? The past 4 minutes, Epsilon wanted that Gold Fury. And you heard them, as you said. iRaffer said, it's not going well, back to farming. All right, they tried a second time, not going well, back to farming. They tried a third time, and then finally, they kept trying to get that pick right here. During the entranceway into the Gold Fury, and they couldn't get it. All of a sudden, it was just always the Bacchus, not an ideal target. They finally find the target they want, opens the window, and that's when Epsilon go for
But
it.
they're finding picks as well, which is important. Adapting, getting himself online on the Fenrir is really key here. He's finding it onto Funball 2 times in a row there with the help of emilitoo as well. And meanwhile, Hell hasn't had anything so far. She's not managed to get involved in this game enough.
Great response from Paradigm, though. Sure, they lost the fight, they lost the Gold Fury, but they're still alive, able to take out a mid-tower as well. Just being able to take things off the map, very good look for the guys on Paradigm.
It's a good start, MLZ, but it's still not over, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not over, but by the way that Epsilon is playing right now, they're just going to wait this out, waiting for next goal for try and pick Xbalanque again. Xbalanque died 3 times down to the same comp.
And you can see what's happening. When you use the Brutalize on Fenrir, you can still follow the Rising Jaguar. So he's stuck to him for the most part of that. And it just means he's no escape. Dimi under pressure on this side here, but he's not scared to go aggressive. Will Weaver needs to be blocked. Luckily, Trixtank is there, but Ymir has arrived, as has Adapting.
Over the top comes Adapting, tries to get the stun, but not able to land the jump. Ultimate's still available for both Yammyn and Adapting, so watch that one as Epsilon sieges the right-hand tower. Xaliea to be picked up by the Pooch, and down he goes, but adapting in some trouble now. Yammyn with a kill onto Xaliea, and now everybody on Epsilon looking towards the tower.
Behind.
It drops on down. Epsilon up 8 kills to 0.
And they're still looking for the kill onto Trixtank here. emilitoo very, very hyper-aggressive in that lane. He's one of those hunters that he knows how many tower shots he can take. You were saying this earlier, the whole team do. But a hunter doing that, where they tank the tower, realizing they can just go in and still have escapes if need be, very strong. One small thing I saw, though, Raffer channeled his ult, and I think they could have picked up the kill a bit easier if Fenrir would have left him inside it. But I think they wanted Xaliea as far away from that tower as possible.
Yeah.
Taking a look at Bacchus, I have been a proponent of the Hide of the Urchin. I really like it. You got to get a killer and assist somewhere. Paradigm have yet to make a mark on the board.
But
that's an issue.
One good fight with a Hell could really turn things around.
But
Poke
where
them
has
out.
she been?
But, well, the thing is, she's farming right now. That's the key. She has to get her items online. Ethereal Staff online so far. She can't go for the Warlock Sash. She's not getting the chance to farm up as much.
No chance.
You're probably looking at Rod of Sleepiest maybe being picked up as well, just to counteract the anti-heal that's coming out from this team too. Is a more than likely ward. Then you're looking at potentially Lotus Crown on top of that one for the extra protections to support the team. As long as Epsilon's lead doesn't get too big, too out of control, they can just quite happily walk back into this game.
It's possible, but right now, it's starting to look like that if is a when.
Well,
Epsilon sitting up 8 kills to 0 at 18 minutes. And look at the gold as well. 4,400, not a huge one. But this is, you know...
I'm surprised we saw Qvofred looking to gank Hebo as well.
Right.
He should have been potentially, for me, looking at the duo lane, get some pressure on emilitoo, relieve the pressure on Funballer, and actually, maybe if they can find the kill there, Funballer could get a stack or two, which will help out his passive, and make emilitoo sit back a little bit more in this lane as well, because at the moment, he's kind of running Funball in this lane, and he's had the opportunity to do that.
They don't look too satisfied as well. You can see Qvofred. He just... Nah, man. I don't know. Maybe we should just go into the next one. But key point right here for Paradigm to get back into this is that Lawbster needs to itemize correctly. As you said, he needs to go for the healing items and not the damage items.
Trix took a lot of poke there. He'll live, but he took a lot of
Nice
poke, so
job.
he will have to go back to base off that. Hell, not going to be in there in time to actually sustain him back up again. And now with that, they can pressure the tier 1 left.
Yeah, it's just about the space. It's just about the
We
space.
saw what Raffer did then. He actually tried to put the wall up right on top of Bacchus to cancel the back without going into the tower. It's one of those little things that a lot of people don't realize that you can try and do. Small little plays.
Again, Epsilon looking towards the tower. Bacchus uses beads. Interesting decision.
The big key there. Oh, here
There's
we
the
go. Belly flop
initiation.
in, but immediately frozen out on the backside as well. Adapted, knew what was up and takes care of 2 for the
2
time
on
being.
1.
Under pressure though, Axe not going to connect. Qvofred does connect Zeus, zoning away with that ultimate to get the kiddies off as well. The disengage is happening from Epsilon because they're wounded, and the walking wounded with healers coming in is dangerous.
Qvofred knocks him up.
Good
Xaliea.
fight. Good fight for the boys of Paradigm here. They could turn this around with amazing sustain. emilitoo, though, did manage to take out Trixtank, but Funballer is here, and Funballer picks up a big kill and shuts down emilitoo as well.
Big plays out of the guys on Paradigm. Xaliea, Lawbster, Funball, the only ones left alive. And that fight, Epsilon wanted to treat. Paradigm had an upper hand. Qvofred came in, and Epsilon started things off right. They got the pick onto the jungler that was coming, but Paradigm able to completely turn it around. Where did that fight change?
The fights changed when they were just so spread out. We got a lot of poke. What I would have liked to see Paradigm do more was to group around the Hell. That was really spread out.
Oh, here we go again. Fenrir going in aggressive because he knows he's got Dimi coming in. They defend the tier 2 tower. Daps is still leading forward. Brutalize on, but the sustain and the damage back onto him is too much. He has to disengage again.
So the question right now is, did Epsilon focus Funballer too much? Did they not focus Lawbster too hard? Because right now Lawbster is kind of, I guess you can say, carrying his
He's
team.
fine.
He's healing. He's on level. He's he's the same level as Yammyn. He's doing really well. Funballer, he's gonna do damage anyway. He's Xbalanque. As soon as he gets to that 35 minutes mark where he's gonna have Deathbringer and Rage, and he even got a really big kill there on emilitoo, he's gonna be fine. And Hell is gonna be totally fine as well, and you see Hell is just going straight into Lotus Crown.
Looking
and
at that
that's what I
fight, though,
like.
what ended up happening was Adaption had to commit outside of where they were looking for. The big play here is get onto Hell, and for me it's got to be Dimi's got to hit a big ultimate, Zeus has got to hit a big ultimate.
Watch out.
With those ults being down,
Paradigm coming from the
Paradigm
right
back
side. Epsilon still have Gold Fury. Leashed it at 50%, but Paradigm not going to let it go. No, there it is.
They have to let it go. I mean, with the hell there as well, that last engagement really hindered Epsilon's push and power in that game. They had to disengage when the ultimates were used by them, and that just allowed Paradigm to run them down like dogs because they had those heals.
Yeah, I thought Paradigm was going to keep it. They don't keep it, but they can do it themselves, and that's what's going to happen.
Well,
Paradigm looking towards the gold screen.
This is so smart.
Yeah, this is just poke out. They don't have to get the gold here. Poke down Epsilon, heal back up again, but Epsilon trying to make sure that doesn't happen and putting the pressure onto Qvo, splitting him from his team, but Trix is there to peel.
Trixtank drops out the ultimate, and he deals a lot of damage to the guys
him
on
out.
Epsilon. They can't heal that one up. Dimi running away. Forced out, and Yammyn wrecking havoc all by himself. Takes out Funball 1v2. emilitoo shows up a little bit late, deals some basics, but the majority of that kill was done by Yammyn.
And the focus on Dimi was really big from Paradigm there at the same time. They split themselves. Xaliea was over there focusing it to help heal for Qvo along with Trixtank, and that left two of the big players of Paradigm here, the Xbalanque and the Hell, isolated. Hell can only heal so much, especially against a Pestilence and a Weakening Curse.
Everyone else are down. Not a player on the board has an ultimate available right now. And that's the result of both. So that extended engagement was just both teams getting the upper hand and then retreating because they're smart enough to know when they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And you saw Epsilon had the upper hand once, then Paradigm had it, and then Epsilon had it, and now both teams said, "All right, we're done."
Well, it was Funballer that died. That was it.
Uh-huh.
Only Funballer died in the engagement. Dimi got out with the barest amount of health
Yeah.
there, though, as well. Had to use his ultimate to disengage from it as well. So the fight relatively went even. I'm fine as Paradigm, though, because still Lawbster survives and still Lawbster's farming. Going for the Lotus Crown as well. The extra protections are really going to come in handy for this as well.
Ooh.
But with the Gold Fury slowly getting lower
50%.
here, someone's going to have to go in soon. They realize it now. Trix just saw it around the corner, but he knows he can't go in alone. Gold Fury to Epsilon. That was very well played.
That's what Epsilon does. They go to gold free, they started, they back off, they go to gold free, they started, they back off. At some point, Paradigm is just gonna think,
They're
they
not gonna do it.
can't be doing gold free. They just
Yeah.
leached it 5 times in the last minute. And that's what Epsilon does. If you go in, if Bacchus would have went in alone there, they would have leached gold free, killed the Bacchus, started gold free again. They would have went in. This is what Epsilon are so good at doing, baiting objectives. And people are always thinking, oh well, they're gonna bait me. This is totally a bait, but it actually isn't, because you're just having emilitoo completely focusing the gold, and at one point the gold is slow enough so you can burst it, and you have an amazing secure
And I think
with
that's-
Zeus and
I
Neith.
think that's the whole game plan of Epsilon and Blade. The way they do objectives is like the hunter's on it, and the
Yep.
hunter will be like, guys, I've now got it in range. And if the call comes out before that of back up, before it's in range, he'll give it up.
Yeah.
Ultimate from Dimi, not going to be able to hit Xaliea. So the Chaac finds himself safe on the solo lane. Qvofred going to join him over there. Funball going to back the rest of Paradigm, however, 2 members deep, are in the mid lane.
Let's have a look at the experience in gold again, because that second Gold Fury going to them as well. Puts them back at the 5k mark, 7,000 experience as well. Big key for the win here. If they pick Hell, if they can find that one pick on Hell, this game is over. Basically, because they'll get a Fire Giant off it, they'll wipe the rest of the team because of the golden experience advantage, and then push on and end towers. There won't be a way back in for them. However, if Lawbster stays alive and they commit a lot from him and they don't find it, Paradigm will run them down again, just like they did last time.
Epsilon taking an aggressive stance here in front of the Fire Giant. Bacchus knows.
And Epsilon know too. They're playing the game again. They've got great wall coverage, multiple wards down there around that area, so they don't have to worry. They're still trying to farm up as they can as well. But Epsilon, they know they're on a clock to an extent, and I think that's why they're looking towards the Fire Giant so early here, MLZ. It's almost like forcing it because they know about it, right?
It's not even that early. It's 25 minutes into the game, and that's usually around the time where hunters can slowly start tanking Fire Giant. And the fact that emilitoo is sitting at 515 right now, he
With
already
crit.
has crit.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be alright tanking this, and they can kind of do the same thing to Fire, although they need to be way more careful, because if emilitoo doesn't juke FG correctly, it's a really, really bad fight.
Talking about taking it really carefully as well. emilitoo, that's unusual for him to see max beads already. Normally emilitoo is the one with just beads 1 at this
Yeah.
stage of a game, but he realizes how important this is.
emilitoo getting ready for whatever setup Epsilon wants to do, channeling that ultimate, ready to release it at a moment's notice. Might
no
ultimately
vision.
also walk away from it, but
Paradigm has no vision, so they're trying to keep an eye on this, and that's why the Will Weaver's channel, because as soon as someone
this
pokes
is
a head down and
that's
goes,
it.
hello.
That's it. There it is, right on top of Xaliea. All the
Shell.
burst coming out, but a strong ultimate mitigates a lot of the damage that Epsilon is able to deal to that,
Good wall.
that Chaac. He'll be able to heal most of it
dead.
up. Dimi going to make sure Qvofred can't heal it up while iRaffer combines to take out the Bacchus as well. Aggression still being pushed onto Paradigm. There's a root being beads. Funball makes a smart decision. Blink
The
forward.
big key. The big key was the walls from Raffer.
Yeah.
The walls isolated Lawbster
Oh.
away from the fight, being able to get in and heal up. Qvo getting knocked up into the ultimate from Dimi, deleted him as well. There was nothing Lawbster could do, and they needed Lawbster there, because if Lawbster could have sustained back up after the poke, it's all good for the boys of Paradigm. Instead, though, Epsilon and Raffer with that big Ymir wall really made an impact.
So Epsilon wind up with 2 kills, right? Xaliea pushed out of the fight. Why don't we see the Fire Giant? Too low?
Use some
Yeah,
moments.
just you wanna back out, you just do your big ults. They're gonna go for it now
Okay.
again, cause yeah,
There it is.
they just wanted to back and
Now
get
look
some
at it.
health.
I mean, there's still damage and aggression that could come out from that Paradigm here
They're
as well. So
bursting
they've got to
it.
be careful. Look
Yeah.
at it. Everyone rotating over here. Now Xaliea knows, but the Zeus ult coming out at the right time to secure it very quickly.
Took them
That's a
9
Habwa.
seconds.
That's a Hubba. How long did a Chaac last?
Not very long.
Single knockup killed him. Wow.
This guy's not very good, though. He doesn't get seen that often, right? Right? How about Hebo's bad?
He was alright in the right hands and with the right team comp. And
The
right now,
phrase is
they have
high
the team
risk,
comp.
high reward.
Yeah.
With an emphasis on high risk.
Glass cannon. Glass cannon is probably the best way to put it.
I mean, the quintessential mage, glass cannon. That's what Habwa is. He's really got the only means of escape is an ultimate, and when it comes late game, he can do things like that, but he's got to make it there first.
So I'm looking at Xbalanque here. You just pointed this one out as well, MLZ. He's going for penetration here. It doesn't look like he's actually going for crit.
No, that's most likely a Jotun's or Titan's Bane. I don't know. Maybe it just feels like I'm behind. I just need some penetration.
And Jotun's for cooldown as well, because he's getting caught a bit. Because well,
that
they're focusing him a
could
lot
be
too.
true, but I would imagine that would be a Titan's Bane.
Yeah.
I just think he wants something cheap that's really effective, and Titan's Bane is so good for its cost.
Well, when you look at the composition as well, I mean, you've got Zeus in mid lane with the breastplate of Valor. You've also got Sovereignty, Mail of Renewal being worked on here by Ymir as well, so he's tanky. You got Hide of the Urchin in the jungle on the Fenrir as well. So, and a breastplate of Valor on the Hubwa as well. So if he hits these targets at the moment, he's not doing as much as he'd like to. The crits will be good, but they'll be lower.
The question now is he gonna go for crit or is he gonna go for quins?
That's the question. We'll find out. But look at this, a Gold Fury for Epsilon as well after the Fire Giant. This is where they've started to turn it up once again. We're going potentially here to a Game 5 unless Paradigm can do what they did at that Tier 2 time on the left, in all honesty. If they can force Epsilon out and then run them down.
Exactly, but there's a big difference here. If you take a look at the graphs right here at 21 minutes, when Paradigm came back and swung it, the difference between the two teams was about 4,500 gold, right? And then you take a look, that's where the divot is. That's Paradigm coming back from a 4,500 gold lead.
Yep.
It's 11,000 now, Hindu Man.
It is.
That's a little bit more difficult to climb.
It is, and that's when you've got to start defending the Phoenixes. You've got to hope for one good Phoenix defense. But against a Ymir is very good at walling people off into a cove. If you take one step forward past the Phoenix, just a little bit too far, and you don't have an escape, which when you think about it, the only ones that can really leap out is the Cat and the Bacchus. You're going to get pinned against the wall there and executed by a Zeus and a Hebo.
This is just Ymir from ahead, this is Hebo from ahead, this is Fenrir from ahead.
Yep.
It's just all these characters they've picked from ahead, they're just so strong.
Keep an eye on what's going to happen here. Raf going to walk straight up. There's the wall zoning out the team, so he allows pressure. And if he caught someone, they would have gone in. Instead, they'll pressure the Phoenix, look to bring it down. Immediate disengage from the boys, though, just to relieve the pressure once more. Phoenix still stands, however.
Like you said, Emilzy, these are all characters that are playing from ahead, and you know when that conversation is always had, is always almost haphazard. This is by design. Epsilon got their first blood before the 1 minute mark, and they were very aggressive from minute 1. They knew that this is what they wanted to do with these picks, and they're executing it just like they wish.
Big freeze coming out there as well. And there's a big blink and ultimate coming out from Dimi as well. Dimi gets some good damage on, but he goes down because he had Phoenix aggro as well. It was a good fight for Paradigm. Can they continue the pressure? They're looking for kills. Trix actually picks up a Dacton who lives, but a big detonate coming out from Yammyn to secure 1. 2 for 1 exchange.
2 for 1 exchange, but with a Phoenix up on top. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that was alright. Pretty unlucky that Dimi didn't get the ult to hit the hill. That
Yeah.
would have been such a big key, then Epsilon would have probably ended the game by that. It was just 1 inch of ending.
You can see the amount of damage coming out there as well. 1 kill for 2, but the damage favoured the boys of Epsilon. They got the burst off on the targets they wanted to, but the sustain, obviously, that definitely kicks in with the hell.
But one big point there is that Funballer, he got to kill Dimi.
Yeah.
And Dimi, he was 307, level 20. For I think, maybe Funballer's level 20, I think he was level 19 going into that fight. And he does go for the Titan's Bane.
Titan's Bane for the pen.
So he's just gonna look to try and shut down the frontliners. He's gonna look to try and go on adapting, and iRaffer not so much. Maybe Yammyn, but not so much Dimi and emilitoo.
Well, to be fair, Dimi, he's going to hit whatever's presented to him. That's what hunters generally do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Dimi, if he's going to dive in with those blink initiations like that, then he's going to be able to at least shred through the protection that he's got with that Best Valor.
The next time, exactly. The next time Epsilon engage like that, Dimi needs to secure a kill. That's why he died. If Dimi blinks in, gets the ultimate after a little bit more damage has already been dealt, all of a sudden, the other person's dead instead of him, and things go a little bit differently.
Well, things are going to slow down for a minute. They're going to wait for the fire giant to respawn in the next 10 seconds. With the Phoenix being down on the left, someone's got to defend from Paradigm, but they need to be ready for this fire giant, and I don't think they have a timer on this one whatsoever. You can see the boys of Paradigm are not going to be here in time whatsoever. This will burst very, very quickly. They may even use an ult for secure if they feel like they need to, but I don't think they will right now.
No, they won't. And this is a good call by Paradigm. They know if they take the jungle fight, iRaffer's just gonna wall them off. They don't have any way of winning the fight. However, if they fight at the Phoenix, they have the potential to maybe just rush back to the fountain. They have the hell that's going to be a lot more safe in the Titan room than she is like standing outside FD. So I like the call. I'd rather defend a Phoenix than defend with them having FD than defending FD, because FD with the Epsilon's team comp, that's just so scary. Neith is going to charge all.
The funny thing is that Hell has had 100% win ratio when picked for this entire tournament. Everyone's been banning it all weekend long and goes well because they've been so concerned about this Hell. But when it's been played, it's won, whatever the situation. However, have Epsilon here found a composition to deal with a Hell? It looks like they have. The Ymir, for me, is a big factor in that.
Ymir is a key point right here. Ymir, as we talked about even going into this, if Ymir gets ahead and he gets the walls, it's going to win them the team fight. His ability to separate the team fight with one ability is just winning them right now. And Hell is just so scared, I would say. She's even going into Voidstone. And talking about Void, actually I would have liked to see if any game this item could have come out, it could have been Qvofred going for Void Shield, I believe it's called now. Because that's just penetration on everyone, and they really need pen to win this game.
Well, they're going to need some pen at some point. One thing to know as well, I like the Anher ban from Epsilon as well. The counter ban on Anher, because he can leap away from the walls. The Desert Fury as well can get him out of sticky situations. And that put the Xbalanque on the table. And you don't really think about the walls from the Ymir that much, even when you're playing the Hunter. But then when you look back at it now, you're like, yeah, the leaps really needed to get away from these walls and stop the separation from happening.
And iRaffer's walls have been
on
point.
And even if it doesn't hit the walls that Phoenix is, you zone the team from defending it as well. It's win-win.
Middle lane, that's where all the action is right now. Epsilon looking for it, and there's the blink from iRaffer right on top of Lawbster immediately. Epsilon looking towards the healer as they make their onslaught onto the mid lane. Left-hand Phoenix will be respawning rather soon, so Epsilon want to take this fight, take Phoenix, and then look again towards the left.
Well, let's listen into the Epsilon comms here, exactly how they're going to try and break this one down.
I have a lead for us, I have a lead. Disengage. Disengage for now. I don't know, get back in. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Any help?
Bastet over. 2 man ult. Oh, never mind, they dashed out.
Okay, Bacchus.
Bacchus breeze down.
Bastet
Keep going.
behind us.
I keep an eye on the Bastet.
Nice.
Keep an eye on the
Nice.
Bastet.
That's game. Good job. Well played, guys. Alright. Just that.
Woo!
What a nice end to the game there for Epsilon. You just saw how they cleaned that one up very, very nicely. Very clear comms communication there. It bursted so fast that we don't have to listen to too much of it, because I thought it might be a bit of a longer siege, that one, between the two.
Did Dimi just get a 3-man
He
knock
got
up?
a 3-man knock
He
up
got a
at the end.
3-man knock up.
And then Zeus detonated on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, GG.
That's just a comp.
Zeus hero.
Crazy.
What I really liked, I mean, it's interesting. We're here at the European Regional Championship game right here between Epsilon and, believe it or not, Paradigm. And what I took away from, not just, so earlier we were discussing a lot about what Paradigm's communications were like and how they were just they were nuanced, very quick, very clean. Epsilons are just the same. All right, we've got it. And you saw, as exciting as that was, okay, Epsilon is down. They haven't been playing as well as Paradigm, I think you could argue. And they win that fight. They win the game. They go on to the final game of the set. And you know how they react? Awesome, guys. Game we win.
I think the big key here as well is they're not playing 4 worlds as well. So the excitement and the pressure on them is a little bit more lax because they're both still going. So #1 seed is important. There is prize money on the line, and that's what they're playing them focused for. But you won't hear the grand gestures of excitement until they win, until the full win. I don't think we'll hear it as much.
See, I think it's the opposite. I think these guys are locked in. There's a lot of pride on the line. Epsilon lost a single game. They're going to lose the regional championship trophy. I don't think so. And on the other side, Paradigm, yeah, they want to be the team Epsilon. I mean, Emilzy, if you were there, what would I don't want to ask you what would matter more, but what would matter more?
I don't know. It's
pride or money. Oh, it's pride and money, right?
Yeah, I would like that trophy if I was Epsilon to just stand on my desk at home and just look at it.
Why would you get it?
There's also not for nothing.
Get it?
Hinterman.
You're just a support. Why would you get the trophy?
Because I'm the captain.
There's also a $20,000 split. 20,000 gold. There's also a
$20,000 gold.
$20,000 split.
20,000 gold, guys.
Yeah.
That's like 5 gold furies.
Big deal. We're going on to game number 5. It's been back and forth. Paradigm, Epsi. Who's got 5? Kelly, can you tell us?
Well, maybe I can, or maybe these analysts can. Guys, game 5, who do you give it to?
I got to give it to Epsilon. They're making slow and steady comebacks. They have adapted from their last game previously, and ever since the way they started off the game was just so key. We saw the red buff to purple buff invade, and it worked out ever since then. We clearly see them adapting really well.
Cret, you seem to disagree.
If Tolly played any safer, he'd have a combat blink. Paradigm all the way.
What?
I don't.
Because combat blink is really safe, Kevin.
It's 180-second cooldown, though.
I gotta find some way to.
Yeah, you're not gonna
13
get
gold by the
ganked
end
that
of
much.
by the end of this.
Good luck.
It's hard. It's hard to make an important point about 13 gold. It really is.
No. Timings.
So we saw Ymir, Habwa, Fenrir, Hell. What was going on in that game, Adonis?
A lot of damage, and honestly, I put this win mostly on Dimi, and then secondarily iRaffer and emilitoo. Dimi really came out of his lane strong, made a lot of good rotations, and really some clutch Evo ults to pick off some individual players. For me, adapting has been not really showing us adapting, and I think this was his poorest game yet. Adapting mechanically has been missing way too much. He's just kind of running around, seems lost. He's like engaging on fights that are bad, but it's working out for the most part.
Is that land jitters?
I'm assuming so because he played nothing like this during the regular split. Like absolutely nothing.
Even
like
though
this.
adapting might have played like that, iRaffer definitely stepped up this game with Ymir. We saw that one clip where he had a perfect Ymir while the Bastet and the Bacchus both used their escapes. It cut off the health on the other side, and then the Hebo just ultied in, did so much damage, and that's what happened right there.
Cret, why is this the first time we've seen Ymir?
I think this game was a shout out to you, Kelly, with the Hell and the Ymir. I guess they're just Hell has a cleanse, and that's really what makes her so powerful, right? But Ymir puts a lot of pressure on the Hell player because Blink Ymir freeze is so strong. Hell has to cleanse that, and if she gets caught in it, she gets forced to beads. Then you've got a Fenrir ult, you've got a lot of stuff coming at you, but you cannot cleanse a wall. It's there, and if you land the right wall, you can cut off options, and they die in a Zeus ult, which happened a few times.
And I think the most important thing was the fact that you can wall off the Hell, right?
Yeah.
Because they picked it, I believe, after the Bastet, so they weren't worried about the jungler. It was literally to lock down the Hell with the 2 really powerful mages, Zeus and Hebo, most notably. It's like, if Hell is there, like, she could buy Aegis to, like, immune damage for, like, 3 seconds, but that's not long enough, right? If Hebo and Zeus go untouched against the Hell is just going to die. The Hell also builds a very damage-oriented style.
Yeah, no CDR on Hell 25 minutes in.
Yeah, and she only did, I think, like 3k damage by the end of the game. It was really low, so there was really no point for the pin boots. With Hell, a lot of times you just kind of want to play defensive. You want to have that utility. The damage is good if you're ahead, obviously, but I don't think it was needed.
But
they still had Bastet.
Hell isn't really even a damage dealer. Hell's the character that's like, oh, you got too close to me. Let me show you why you don't get close to me. But you're not doing damage in a team fight. You're not Zeus or Agni, or that's not your role.
And if you are, a lot of times that's just bad positioning on the Hell player.
Yeah, or you're already winning.
Yeah, unless you're like super far at like 5 levels ahead, you just like dive in with Hell because you're Hell and like take a bunch of ults and survive. But at no point in like a high level competitive play is that ever really a thing.
Cyclone did it. But he was super far ahead.
I think part of the reasoning why the Hell built the way he did, maybe it was because it was on Lawbster instead of being on Xaliea specifically. So Hell was picked up early, and then they wanted to get a counter matchup against the Hobwa, so they last picked Chaac to deal with that, and it didn't really work out because Lawbster didn't build that CDR that was needed on the Hell.
Yeah, so let's talk about the damage threats. A lot of damage threats of different types on Epsilon's team. You've got the Neith that was very strong, you've got the Fenrir, you've got the Hobwa, and you've got the Zeus. You have to itemize both ways. Hell is not a damage threat. Bacchus is a damage threat, but he's still a support, and that's all the magical damage that Paradigm had. So Dimi buys a Breastplate of Valor, and no one is killing him, and he's Hobwa, which is very bad news.
Yeah, same question as Ymir. Why haven't we seen a Hobwa?
He's high risk.
High reward?
Kind of like
high risk medium
reward
yeah.
is like the big thing. Is like if Hobwa gets going, like he's very powerful. But even if he gets going, you still have to have like really good positioning on him. One misplaced ult, like, and you're done. You could actually see that Dimi went combat blink, which is something we very rarely see unless it's on immobile mages who really need to rely on their positioning, like Hobwa, like Zeus.
I think what it came down to, though, is what Hobwa is really about is he's a burst mage. And burst mages, as we all know from Poseidon, are countered by Aegis. But Hobwa has a knockup. You cannot Aegis during a knockup, so he's a burst mage that counteracts the counter to burst mages. And that knockup was instrumental for Epsilon's win in this game. And then I think also just the slow immunity of the carpet is another big factor that we'll see once players are playing more Hobwa.
Also, something we haven't really talked about because no one's played him since the buff.
Exactly.
But, your team actually is slow immune while on the carpet, so that's pretty important, especially against, I'd say, the Bacchus, or not the Bacchus, the Chaac and then the Bastet. Like, right now, Chaac slow is actually really powerful, and the fact that that can get countered out by just stepping on kind of like a bunch of wet paper on the ground.
It's super strong.
Another important factor about the about the Hebo and the way Epsilon picked it was the fact that they were controlling the dual lane very well. Yes. And if the Hobwa ever got ganked, that would alleviate a lot of pressure on the dual lane. They could have forced a Gold Fury relatively early on. They controlled a couple purple buff invades after the first blood. And maybe that's something that Epsilon was kind of relying on. Maybe Hobwa getting ganked and then getting a Gold Fury in response.
Dual lane also made a big mistake early. We saw the purple buff invade come out, but then Trix actually jumped on top of Ymir and Neith, like for absolutely no. It did almost no poke, and then it was that his belly flop was down, and then we saw very quickly iRaffer run to the lane, hit the level 2, and immediately turn on the Xbalanque. And 100% Funballer was out if Bacchus Sleep was up. But Trix, I honestly think, was just frustrated that he had his attack speed buff stolen and like used it for like minimal poke.
This was the weakest that I think we've seen of Trixtank's Bacchus. Do you think we're going to see him pick again?
I think it might still be picked again, but I think that shows the emotion behind Paradigm. Like we said, that Paradigm was an emotional team, and obviously Epsilon is more methodical, so that's kind of what happened there.
Well, we got a Game 5, everyone, and we're about to see who takes it. Let's go to the casters with Game